Tables also have new HTML5 context tags that you can use to identify certain portions of the table data for search engines and browsers. So let's take a look at those before we finish out. Let me go back to my document, and the first thing I want to do is add some tags for a head, body, and foot portion of the table. Now these are kind of interesting because what we're doing is specifying different sections of the table that will be treated in different ways. And this is just like when we use the section tags or article tags on our main pages for paragraphs and headings. In this case, I'm going to go down into the HTML document itself and modify the table tags. First of all, I'll go down below the caption and I'll add a tag called thead. This tag is specifically for use inside of tables, and I'm going to use it to specify the head portion of my table element. I'll close that thead tag right underneath my row of headers, of course, /thead, and then we can take the next 4 rows, which are data portions of the table, and we'll specify those as part of the table body. I'll add a tbody tag, and of course we'll go down below the bottom row and add in a closed tbody tag. And finally, we'll take our last row and set it up inside of a tfoot tag. Again, closing off the bottom of that row with a closed tfoot tag. Like some of our other context tags, these aren't really going to make a big difference by themselves on the page, but we can use these to identify portions of the document and apply styles only to those areas. Let's change the text color for each one of these sections. I'll go back up to the top and we'll create 3 simple rules that we can use. I'll put them down below the TD selector, and for the first one, I'm going to start off with a thead rule. I'll set up my braces, and inside this section, I'd like to stylize the text color differently. I'll just use the color property, remember that always refers to the text, and I'll set it up to be blue. I'll use #, 00 for red, 00 for green, FF for blue. And I'd like to set up 2 more styles, so I'm just going to copy this selector and the rule. I'll paste it in 2 more times, and we'll use that to create one for tbody and one for tfoot. We'll just change the color so we can identify each. For the body, I'll use red, so remember that's going to be FF for the first 2 digits and 00 for the last. And we'll make this one green in the foot. We'll put the FF in the center for the green portion, change the blue to 00, and let's save our changes. We'll go back out to our document and refresh, and now you can see blue is used for the header, red is used for all the body elements, and green is used for anything in the foot. Now so far we've seen a lot of different strategies for styling the elements inside of tables. We can style the table tag itself, or table row or table data tags as well. We can use the new contextual section tags, head, body, and foot. And there's one more way that we want to look at grouping elements together inside the table for styling issues, and that is in columns. We've got a couple of new tags with HTML5 that'll let us do this. So let's go back and try them out. As we saw before, our tables are built row by row. So in order to specify columns, what we're going to do is use another tag called call group to specify which column is which. Generally, I'll put these up at the top so that they're easy to find. So we'll just go find the table tag itself, and right underneath the caption, I'll add a set of call group tags. That's COL group. Of course, we're going to need a close tag, so I'll go down a couple of lines and set that up. And now inside here, I'll use another tag, call, to specify individual columns that we want to work with. These tags will be empty tags, so I'm going to go ahead and put a self-closer at the end. And what we're going to do to specify the specific column that we're working on is I'm going to use class designations to be able to apply the styles. So I'm going to go ahead and add a class attribute to each one of these tags. For the first one, we'll just call that one seasoned. And that will represent the data that we have for the seasons of the year. Now, for the second one, we've got actually 2 groups of temperatures, a high temperature and a low temperature. And I'd like to group those sets of columns together. So what we'll do is we'll add another call tag, I'll just copy and paste this one and we can modify it. And first of all, this column isn't just going to be one column wide, it's going to be 2 columns wide. So I'll add in another attribute called span, and we'll set that to 2. Span allows you to specify just how many columns will be grouped together. And we'll change this one to temps, representing the temperature data. We're going to have a final column group that represents the last column, and I'll paste in one more for that, and we'll simply change the name to rainfall. Now, if we go back and look at our column group, what it's doing is identifying the columns and how they're going to be specified inside of our page. We're going to have one column that spans only one width. We're going to have another group that spans 2 columns width. And those will be followed by a third group, which will be 1 column wide. Now, since I've set up class styles for each one of these, we just need to set up selectors that will identify the styles. One property that we haven't used in our tables yet is background color. So let's do that for each one of these. I'll go back up to my style definitions at the top. And right below the foot selector rule, I'll add in another rule for the first of our column groups. Remember, class selectors start with a dot at the beginning, and they're followed by the name of the class, in this case, season. I'll set up my braces, and then we can go ahead and add our rule. And in this case, we want to work on the property background-color. We'll use the same kind of color designations, and I've picked out a few light colors that we can use in this case. I'll set the seasons to a light green color, and the color I've chosen is $ACEFB3. Now I want to set up 2 more of these, so I'm just going to copy that selector and its rule. We'll paste it in 2 more times, and we can set up the name of our 2 other classes. The first one is going to be temps, and the second one is rainfall. And for the temps area, I'm going to use a background color that's kind of a light yellow. That color designation that I've chosen is F0EF71. And then for rainfall, I've got a light blue, and that color is 71C8F0. Now let's see how this all looks. I'll save my changes. We'll go back over to our document and refresh. And there we can see our background colors applied to the columns. It's interesting to note that when you define columns this way, the column will include any TH cells or header cells, and also this footer cell at the bottom, you'll notice it's included in column 1, mainly because it's only 1 column wide. Well, now that we've seen a little bit about how tables work, we're ready to clean up these pages, and we can go out and work on our lab project.